What's up everybody, welcome back to the Art of Crypto, the birthplace of absolutely legendary gains. In this video we are going to talk about AVAX, and this is just going to be a very quick video. In fact, I was filming this video earlier today and by this time it should already be out, but believe it or not, while I was filming the last part of the video where I was giving the bonus trade, my computer ran out of space and it ended up not saving, and so I have to redo this whole thing from scratch. So here I am. Promise I'm gonna keep it short in this video. And again, remember, if you haven't already followed me on Twitter at _the Art of Crypto, you're gonna want to do so. This is where I'm sharing the latest market updates as well as anything that I do not have the ability to post on YouTube due to time constraints. And I'm also doing a 10k to 100k challenge sort of trading journal on my Twitter. So if that's something that you would like to follow along, make sure you follow me on Twitter. So AVAX, I'm just going to cut right to the chase and immediately tell you that AVAX is incredibly bullish right now. The fact that it managed to break above its all-time high, right, its previous all-time high, which was about $60.3, and afterwards, if you can just take a look at AVAX right now, it actually came down to the previous all-time high to find support before bouncing. So it might not look like it on the 4-hourly chart, but if we go onto a 15-minute chart, you can see that it bounced immediately off of the previous all-time high. And at the moment, it is forming a consolidation pattern right now near the all-time high. So AVAX is incredibly bullish, and my first piece of advice to whoever is watching this video is you do not short something just because it ran up by 100% in the last 2 days. Now, just to give you quite a few examples, right? In fact, there was this one thing that I was talking about in the previous video, the previous recording, where right now I'm about to drop a very golden piece of information for you, and that is the fact that in bull markets, right, I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. In bull markets, things tend to be irrationally bullish, and more importantly, these things, market conditions, can be a lot more bullish than you think for a lot longer than you think possible. Now I want to repeat that. In bull markets, things can be irrationally bullish for much longer than you would think possible. So just to give you a couple of examples, let's use Solana for example. After Solana broke through its previous all-time high over there, you can see it's pretty much just taken off, right? After it broke through the previous all-time high, you come down to find support at the previous all-time high and off you go. And for how long have we stayed above? About, I don't know, almost a month, right? Just to give you one more example. I don't know if anybody of you, in fact, I was just talking about AXS, like this concept, recently in a live stream. In bull markets, things can be irrationally bullish for an incredibly long time. How long? Longer than you think possible. So notice how once AXS broke above its previous all-time high, came back down to find support, and off we go. It's been almost like more than 2 months right now that we are sitting above the previous all-time high, like a lot higher than the previous all-time high. So things can be incredibly bullish for very long. Just because it pumped by almost 100% in the last 2 days does not mean that it cannot pump another 100% in the next 2 days, okay? So just remember that. It's because it pumped is no justification, there's no reason for you to short it. Just like how if it dumps 90% in 2 days does not mean that it cannot dump another 90% in the next 2 days. So just keep that in mind. You always want to look for confirmations in market structure in order to determine if it's a good time to short, which I will get into later. But now that you understand what is going on, that right now AVAX is in price discovery and that AVAX is extremely bullish, right? Extremely bullish. Anything that goes into price discovery and finds support at the previous all-time high is going to be incredibly bullish. At the moment, AVAX appears to be trying to do that. In fact, it's forming a sort of, you could say this is a heads and shoulders pattern on the 15-minute, right? This is a head, this is a head and shoulders, but to me it looks more like an accumulation pattern, right? A consolidation pattern. And speaking about consolidation patterns, we need to get into the second thing that I would like to talk about in this video, which is the fact that markets, right? You could literally just boil down the markets to these two little concepts and you are going to be incredibly successful. And these two concepts are, or rather this one concept, is the markets always move in phases of expansions and consolidations, right? Now, the reason why you see all these lines drawn out already is because I was filming this video just now, but I had to do this from scratch again. So, this video should go pretty quickly. So expansions, consolidation, right? And then you get a breakout of that falling wedge, and then you get an expansion, and then you form another falling wedge. And notice how the consolidations always go into a point of support, right? Over here, that's your point of support, right? You consolidate downwards into a point of support, bounce, right? Consolidate downwards into a point of support, bounce. consolidate downward, or rather this is a bull pennant, or rather a fake bull pennant, because we had the funding flush. So as long as you remember that, then you just have to remember one thing, which is AVAX right now, it just went through an expansion, right? This is an expansion phase. In fact, this whole part right here could be an expansion phase, and the next part for AVAX to do is going to be a consolidation phase. And this brings me on to the first entry for AVAX, which is, if you just take a look at these two candles right here, this is your bullish order block, right? And all it is the last sort of bullish block, the last bearish block before something takes off, like before a very big price movement upwards. So this right here is going to be your bullish order block. And if you watch this channel for any amount of time, you know that I always like to use order blocks as points of entries, and in this case I'm going to mark down this level right here at 53.28 and 51.17. so let's just round that off and consider that as 51.5 or like 51.3, and this as 53.4 ish, right? These are going to be my two entry points for AVAX in the event that it does retrace. Now I want to show you something else, which is if you just draw a fib from this swing low over here where the move began, and you draw it to the swing high over here, you can see that if it does retrace back into this order block entry, you are actually going into a very key Fibonacci level, which is the 0.705 and the 0.78, or like the 0.79 level. And the more confluence you have, the better, right? The fact that these order block entries tend to be located at around key support levels in the Fibonacci is, just another form of confluence, right? The more you know. So if you had $1,000 to play with, I would go in with 500 here and 500 here, right? Because you always dollar cost average. Every smart trader dollar cost averages into his position so that you can get an optimal position, because nobody knows where's the exact bottom. I can only give you guesses where the exact bottom might be, or like good guesses, but I cannot say for certain that, okay, 53 is going to be the exact bottom, right? I'm fairly confident that 51 is going to be quite close to the bottom, but you never know. So in this case, if I were to take this entry, I'm going to set my stop loss at 47.5, because you know that the market, as long as it remains bullish, you want to see it keep forming higher highs and higher lows, right? So even if AVAX were to consolidate into this area of support, it would still be a higher low, because the previous low is over here. So on a if you zoom out a little bit, you can see that it is still respecting the higher high, higher low formation, and this is incredibly bullish. And I will talk about this market structure thing later when I discuss how, when do you determine if something is worth shorting. But at the moment, incredibly bullish, right? If you see, this is your low, this is your high, this is your low, high, you get the point. And again, this brings me on to my next point, which, I already discussed. You get a consolidation into point of support, and then by that point, you're going to be at the apex of the falling wedge, and then you're going to break out, right? So either you're going to buy at these two levels, or you're going to want to, right now I'm just doing an imaginary sort of falling wedge, right? This is not set in stone yet, but assuming that something like this forms, then you're going to want to buy the breakout of this pattern, right? As in buy the breakout, or simply buy the breakout and buy the retest, right? It's going to, like, nothing moves straight up. And oftentimes you'll find that it does come back down to retest, just like how after it broke its all-time high, it's now currently retesting the previous all-time high before ultimately moving up. And a lot of people might ask, like, hey, is AVAX about to pull a Solana? All right, is it going to go to, $150 and make everybody rich? Potentially, right? As I've said, once something goes into price discovery, it can remain bullish for a very, very long amount of time. So do not be surprised if AVAX really does pull a Solana. And in this case, if it really does pull a Solana, I do not want you to be caught up in the wrong side of the coin, which is, you don't want to be trying to short Solana. Imagine people who were shorting Solana the entire way up. Imagine how much pain they would be, right? I love you guys. I do not want you guys to face that kind of pain. So please do not short something just because it has pumped a lot recently. Okay, so that is going to be entry number 1, and this is going to be entry number 2. And now we discuss the take profits. Now the method which I used to arrive at these take profit levels is simply by drawing a Fibonacci from this swing high over here to this swing low over here, and that is how you get these levels, right? Just to show you proof that it does line up. So that is going to be your take profit levels, and right now these areas that I'm giving you is just areas of possible resistance, right? And I don't mean like resistance as in you get to here and it's gonna bum, right? That's not what's gonna happen. In fact, things rarely happen that way. If it did, then everyone would be a millionaire, because you can literally just short at resistance and you bait when Lambo, right? Lambo immediately. So the way that you're going to want to utilize these areas is just think of them as areas of possible resistance, right? And just use these areas as reference points for you to take your profits, because you never want to be, waiting for something to go all the way up without taking any profit, because what's going to end up happening is just like how you saw during this, flash crash. Imagine if you did not take any profit along the way, and maybe you bought somewhere around here, right? Maybe you bought somewhere around here and you saw that the price of AVAX went from $40 up to, I don't know, $50, and you did not take any profit. You would have got stopped out, and that's something that can happen. In fact, it happens a lot in the crypto markets. So please, while it's going up, you want to take profit, and you're going to want to do it using these areas as reference points, right? And these areas are going to be 65, 69.5, 75, 85, 101. I'm actually going to round this down to like below 100, so something like 98 or 97, because you never want to take profit at 100. It is a very round number, and it is a very key psychological level. You never want to use 100 as your TP. You always want to take it before, like just a little bit before, because that's how the markets work. In a market, for every loser, like, you don't lose money, right? Somebody else is taking your money, right? You're not losing it. And that's the fact of the markets, right? For every winner, there's going to be a loser. And because you're trying to take other people's money, might as well take it sooner than they do, right? If somebody's setting their TP at 100 and the smart money is setting all their TPs at 95, then it's never going to reach 100. In fact, if you were following my Twitter, you would have known that I called the exact top for AXS, right? AXS might try for 100, but I told you guys to take profits. Like, I'll be taking profits and running at $95. And not to brag, but I want you to just take a look at the high of this candle. It actually went to $95 on the money, and it started dumping. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into how I choose, or rather how I think about taking profits. And what's going to end up happening when you use these levels as TP points is that the price is likely going to go to these levels, and it's going to dump a bit, right? Go to these levels, dump a bit, go to these levels, dump a bit. It's just something like this, right? And as long as you remain, this high, low, high, high formation, then you're going to be good. And at the moment, if you feel like you have learned something new in this video, maybe you feel like this video has been helpful, it would help me so much if you could just drop a like button. It's a really small gesture, but it really, really helps me a lot. So now that we are done discussing the bullish scenario, let's discuss the bearish scenario. Like, what do you do? What do you look for if you really do want to short AVAX? And in this case, you're going to want to look for something like this. Imagine, right? This is all theoretical right now. Imagine if AVAX were to dump right now, right, straight down. Then what you're going to get is you're going to get a bearish order block, right? Let me just draw this out. Like this, again, this is just theoretical. You're going to get a bearish order block forming around here, because the bearish order block is the last bullish candle before a massive move downwards. So imagine if you dump all the way down here, right? There are going to be two bearish conditions that you're going to want to look for, that you are going to want to look to be fulfilled before you start to short something. And I'm going to picture it, like I'm going to draw it out exactly how it's going to look like. And the way it's going to look like is, imagine it, like, first off, remember what I said earlier about how market structure is going to play a role when it comes to shorting? Well, this is exactly what I mean. In order for something to be bearish, you want lower lows and lower highs, right? So in this case, how is the lower low going to be formed? I'll give you a moment to think about it, right? Where would be, like, which level would indicate that a lower low has formed? So that level is going to be, I assume, after you break this low right here. Because imagine market structure looking something like this. Then if you do break this low, then it's going to be a lower low. And oftentimes what happens is this is going to be your first confirmation, right? You want a break in market structure. You want a lower low to form before you treat this as bearish, right? That's going to be number one. Number two, oftentimes what will happen is that once it forms a lower low, it is going to retrace, just like how if you get this entry right now, this bullish entry right here at $53 and $51, if you do get this, that means that price actually retrace back to a bullish order block before taking off again. And in the event of a bearish situation, you are actually going to want to look for the price to retrace back to the bearish order block before going downwards, right? And that's exactly how it's going to play out, and that is how it plays out literally every time. Now, nobody knows this, right? Not a lot of people know this, but to you guys who watch my channel, you are going to be absolutely prepared. Now, let's assume for one moment that, let's say, the price dumps to about here. Let me just draw this out. So the price dumps to here, right? Let's assume it's going to dump to here. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to use a fib, right? I'm going to draw a fib from the previous swing high over here, swing high, to that point, that low right there. And oftentimes what you will find is that the bearish order block is going to be located in between the 0.618 to 0.786 retracement level, right? Oftentimes, this block right here, I'm just going to draw it out. Oftentimes, this is going to be your bearish order block right here. And it always plays out like that every time. So I really hope you guys learned something new. And I know I promised to keep this video short, but you know, oftentimes I get lost in explaining stuff to you guys because I really want you guys to learn. In fact, if any of you guys are here purely just for the entries and just, oh, tell me where to buy. I tell you to buy here and then you sell here. Well, if that's the kind of content that you're looking for, my channel's probably not going to be for you. Like, my entries and the predictions that I make tend to come true a lot. In fact, I'm right a lot of the time, but you know, at the same time, I really want to just teach people how to fish rather than just, you know, give them fish. I could do that all the time if I wanted to, but you know, ultimately that wouldn't be sustainable for me. And ultimately, I want you guys to be able to succeed by yourselves. So if you watch until this point so far, I actually want you to comment down in the comment section the word learn, so that I know who are the real ones who are just, you know, here to learn how to do this for yourselves. And I promise I'll remember you guys. If I ever see you guys in the comment section in the future videos, I will be sure to say hi. And you know, just one more thing. If you've been watching my channel for quite a while and you realize that, hey, this guy seems to know what he's talking about, or maybe he's right a lot of the time, then you really, like, if you would just want to step up your learning, right? If you just want to learn what works, what doesn't work, then you're going to want to check out the private Discord group. Over here, you're going to get access to a trading education where I lay down everything that I know. And over here, you're going to learn how to filter out what works and, you know, filter out 90% of the things that don't work. Not only that, you're going to get real-time market updates, right? In real time every day. And I'm going to tell you what I think about the markets every single day. So if that's something you'd be interested in, definitely check out this group. And besides that, you're going to get access to profitable trading setups every single day where we have people making money every single day. And yeah, look at this guy, my first 1,000. And thanks AOC for the snipe, right? Over here, you're going to get access to sniper trades as well, but for many reasons, I cannot show you guys sniper trades because that is something that is limited to the private Discord group. So let's just say that you tend to be able to pay off this Discord group pretty quickly. So if you're interested, make sure you head to the link in the description and check it out. And right now, for you guys, of course, no worries, I will never forget you guys, because here is your bonus trading setup. I never waste your time, right? For watching till the end of my videos, you always get a little reward. So this reward is going to come in the form of CQT USDT. Now, this is called Covalent/Tether. This is a KuCoin coin. And for those of you who are interested in getting KuCoin, right? If you don't have KuCoin, like seriously, get one. The amount of exotic alts that are in KuCoin, you can make so much money off of those, right? Like, in just a single day, these things pump like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50, 100%. And if you're not on KuCoin, you're missing out, my friend. If you want a referral link to KuCoin, make sure you head to the link in the description below. So here is how this trade is going to work. If you look on the daily chart right now, you can see that it is forming sort of a consolidation pattern. And, you know, just like what I said in the beginning about AVAX, remember when I said price moves in phases of expansions and consolidations. This is your consolidation phase. This is when you're supposed to be buying. You're not supposed to buy here, right? That's called FOMO. That's not called trading. So knowing that this is a daily pattern, then that's even more, like, that's going to put even more weight to this pattern, because stuff that's forming on the daily compared to something that forms on the 15-minute is going to vary drastically in terms of, you know, effectiveness. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mark down this level at 1.41, right? At the moment, it's still here right now. You could absolutely start buying here because this is like trend line support, right? It's finding support on the trend line. You could buy here if you want to, with a stop loss set below a previous swing low. However, this is something risky. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. What I would recommend to do is to mark down this level at 1.41, and you want to buy the breakout of that level or the bullish retest of that level. And the TP points are going to be 1.48, 1.65, 1.8, 2.11, 2.26, 2.4, 2.56, 2.78, 3.2, and 3.88. Now these three targets right here are going to be longer term targets, so do not expect CQT to hit that in, you know, just a few days. It's probably going to take a couple of months at least, but absolutely pay attention to CQT, because once this pops, it should pop very, very nicely. And the way, again, that you're going to want to utilize these TP levels is, you're going to want to take profits on the way up and use these TPs as reference points, because you never want to be stuck holding onto a bag that goes all the way up and comes all the way back down to stop you out, right? That's just painful. Again, for those of you interested to join the private Discord group, I'm gonna see you inside the group, but for now, may the gains be with you, my friend, and peace.